Hi everyone, my name is Claude Nobert and this is my wife Joanne Anka, who also is my fellow trekker. We consider ourselves as adventure trekkers. We've been doing that for the last 30 years. We are certified scuba divers. We've dove in the warm and cold water, wreck diving. We are avid downhill skiers. We skied everywhere in the Alps, so altitude is basically our second home. We skied in Italy, Switzerland, France, Austria. We do canoe camping. I did some white water as well, rapids. Joanne's been doing some heli skiing. We did some parasailing. Basically, we even did windsurfing in the port of Los Angeles. We're a bit crazy, but we like adventure. And we're here to talk to you about Nepal. What you've been witnessing are some images from our trip that we just did in October and November. And by far, that was the most exhilarating trip we've done in Nepal. It was 30 days of pure bliss, enjoyment, excitement. And we traveled with a company called Himalayan Nepal Treks. Normally, we deal with companies when we travel, but often we were our own organizers when it comes to diving or skiing or canoeing. We like sometimes to organize. I've been myself an expedition leader for canoe camping for different clubs that I was belonging to. But for this case, we were strongly advised to go with the company. Nepal, first there's a language barrier. Even though in Nepal they speak English, it's good to have someone on location that can speak to the people. They know the area quite well, where to eat, where to stay, and that's what we did. We had friends actually on our street who happened to be in Nepal 3 times, and it's with them we went. And at first it was not sitting well with me to be traveling with porters and a guide. Said I can do it myself. All my life I've been carrying my own gear. Said, relax, you will be coping with thin air. There will be acclimatization issues too, so you've got to be taking it easy. And so basically I did the right choice, because it was nice to have a porter and a guide that knows where the lodges, the tea houses are, because we didn't go for camping, we went with the luxury, with the lodges, as you'll see later in the presentation. So we're not affiliated with Himalayan Nepal Treks, but we certainly wanted to experience Nepal through a company with people who know what they're doing, who can guide you through the different villages, and can know signs about, let's say, mountain sickness. So if you have an experienced guide with you, it's better to do that, mostly if it's the first time you've done that. As you probably know, Nepal has been, there's been a few issues over the last year. There's been an avalanche in October 2014. There's been those 2 earthquakes in April and May. And at that time, we had decided, Joanne and I, to go to Nepal. And then when we saw the news and the images of destruction, we said, oh my God. We had some cold feet about going to Nepal. I said, well, I don't think it's a good idea now to go to Nepal. We saw all those CNN images of destruction, and it was as if the whole country had been flattened. And then, of course, we had our friends who had been to Nepal 3 times and had contacts with the people in Nepal. And basically, as of June 2015, it was business as usual. The Nepalese people, you have to know, they're very resilient, they're very hardworking, and it was not, there were some pockets, like the earthquake took place maybe, northwest of Kathmandu, and then there was another one in May, just south of the China border. But, it was not a massive path of destruction as we thought, or were led to believe with the media. And when we were there in October, November, it was business as usual. We could see there were some monuments, there were some heritage buildings that had been damaged, but it was not throughout the whole country. We were able to fully enjoy our trek. There were electricity, there was running water, there's cell phone. By the way, if you travel with cell phone, buy a SIM card. It's $10 and it's cheap. It's much cheaper than a program that the big companies in Canada will try to sell you. Make sure you unlock your phone and then get a SIM card, $10, you're in business, you can get your data, you can get that in any store in Kathmandu. They'll be happy to install it for you. You learn, believe me, you learn the expensive way. So, basically we're here just to tell you that I know you're adventure trekkers, you're probably planning a next adventure trip. Consider Nepal, and because they need our business. Tourism is the #1 industry for Nepal, and as a result of the earthquake and the bad press that they had, it sort of instilled fear in a lot of trekkers, and they sort of, said, "Oh, I don't think we're going to go to Nepal." I mean, the last earthquake they had was in 1934, so they had 2 big ones last year. I'm not saying there won't be one next year, but chances are pretty good that hopefully they will not have a big one over the next years. And we're planning to go next year again to Nepal and many other times too, because we loved it so much. So basically the message is, if you want to go to have a nice adventure and feel something different, I think Nepal is the way to go, and they need our business. That's the bottom line. They do need our business. Joanne, you want to tell us more about...
Would you like to comment on how gorgeous the people are?
Yeah,
the culture?
People are nice, they're calm, they're very positive, very resilient. It's Hinduism and Buddhism are the main religion, mostly Hinduism, but you have a lot of Buddhist temples. The kids are great. If I would have had room in my knapsacks, I would have brought a few kids. They're so nice. They're not pushy. They don't try to sell you anything, even though they're poor. It's not like other countries where they treat tourists as, like you're taken for granted, and they want to push and sell things. They're very calm, very respectful too, and they have a lot to offer in terms of culture, in terms of music and arts. It's a wonderful country. Not only the outdoors, but also what is also the cultural aspect. Nepal is stuck in between, like on the west, south, and east, it's India, and China is north. So you have the Indian-Chinese influence in Nepal. It takes about a day to travel to Nepal. What we did Ottawa, Philadelphia, and then from Philadelphia to Doha, Qatar, we flew with Qatar Airways. It's a 12-hour flight, and then from Doha, it's about a 5-hour flight to Kathmandu. So we have to allow a full day. It's reasonable for cost compared to other destinations. We paid $1,600 Canadian to fly from Canada to Nepal, and the whole trip was $3,000 Canadian. So that means accommodation, porters, a guide, an assistant guide, food, transfers, permits to go to the park. So that's a really good deal. Just to compare, our son went to Kilimanjaro last August. He paid $2,500 just for the flight and for the trip itself. And he was camping, he was not staying in lodges. For the trip, he paid $3,000 for 10 days. We paid $3,000 for 30 days. We had guide, food, and the food is good. We discovered nice food. So I think it's a bang for your buck to go to Nepal, and that's why we're going to be returning. And we want to encourage them. They're so nice, and they really need our business. Go ahead.
Thank you, Claude. So that's basically why we're here today. That Nepal is just such a fantastic place to be. And when we were there, the first thing they told us when we asked about how's tourism after that earthquake, they said it was just down by such a high percentage. They're really struggling. So it's unfortunate. The media has really damaged their tourism industry. So I'd like to go through with you. What we did was trekking, but there's so many other things you can do in Nepal. For example, this is Gopal, actually, the owner of Himalayan Nepal Treks. Gopal's sitting right there in front. But you can go on safari tours. You can go on whitewater rafting. There are rivers galore because there's so many mountains. You can do the ultralight flying. Of course, mountain climbing, and there's various levels of difficulty with mountain climbing. And then there's also mountain biking. And if you could just stop there, Todd. And there's, of course, many other activities as well. If you're into bungee jumping, there's just so much to do in Nepal. It's not just about trekking. If you have the privilege of going in the spring, you get to see these rhododendron forests. These trees are about 30, 40 feet high, and in the spring they're in blossom. We were there in October, November, and we were impressed by the trees. It's just complete rhododendrons everywhere you look, but in the spring they're in bloom. So we're gonna try to go back next spring when that's the case. So we flew into Kathmandu Airport. From there we trekked to Lukla, but some people bypass to shorten up their trip. They'll fly to Kathmandu, acclimatize for a day or two, maybe shop, and then fly to Lukla and start their trek from there up to Everest Base Camp. We did a 10-day trek actually to Lukla and then kept going. So
yeah, the advantage to Lukla, you have a shorter trip, but you got to be careful. You got to make sure you're acclimatized properly, because you start your trek at 2,900 meters. So it's about like 9,500 feet. So for some people, they may be a bit dizzy. So others, it's not. So different bodies react. So make sure if you start in Lukla, higher there, you make sure you take 2-3 days to acclimatize. We started much lower at 1,900 feet, and we had plenty of time to acclimatize before we reached the 3,000, 3,500 meter and $5,000 plateau. We had time to acclimatize, and we had no symptoms whatsoever of altitude sickness. Make sure you drink all the time, and have electrolytes, and you're going to be fine.
yeah. And it really depends on how much time you have. I mean, some people do only 1 week or 2 week treks. It depends how high you want to go as well. So this is an idea. This is the hotel we stayed at the start of our trip and at the end, before and after the trek. You can see it's lovely. You know, I imagine there would be some dumpy little, broken down ruin, but it was actually lovely. And I'll show you the interior, what our room looked like. It's a normal hotel room, and it was just fine. And the food there was very good as well. As for shopping, you can buy anything you need in Kathmandu. And in fact, if you are planning to do any adventures, you can buy all of your gear you can switch, Todd. You can buy all of your gear there for a really minimal cost. Like those jackets up there are actually down-filled. They cost $30, whereas in Ottawa they are priced at starting at $200. And then there.
I forgot my poles, so I bought poles for $10. Joanne paid, I think, $100 for.
I paid over $100 from us.
So.
We also went to the Tibetan rug factory. We ended up buying a couple of, I think, about 3 rugs. And you can see that the employees there are really treated well and they're respected. It's not like a factory where they're chained to their desks. And of course, fresh spices. The shopping there is quite nice and quite vast. And of course, there are many sites to see. There's a lot of Buddhism, and Hindu is their main religion, but there's a lot of Buddhist temples, these stupas. There are monasteries. You see monks walking in the streets.
Yeah, we've seen a monastery in Dengbachi on our way to the base camp to the Everest. So that's quite something to see the monks in the monastery.
Yeah, and there are temples everywhere you look. I mean, you just turn a corner while you're shopping, and there's a temple. Yeah, and these are sadhus. They're very highly religious people.
These are hair. They're basically up to the floor. It's down to the floor. It's amazing. I don't think they know the word barber.
And again, there are many temples and monuments, religious monuments. Monkey temple. You walk around, monkeys are running around. It's quite fun. Now, this is an idea of the tea house, the accommodation we had during the trek. Our trek was 22 days, and we stayed in tea houses. Some people camp. But we wanted a little bit of luxury and didn't really want to camp for 22 days. But that's a typical kitchen, typical sort of dining room, and the service was excellent. The food was good. They don't have a lot of ingredients there, but they really are creative with what little they've got. And that's an idea of what the bedroom looks like in the tea house. Claude and I had our own room through the whole trek. So the beds, basically, they're wooden structures, the size of a single bed, They provide a mattress and a pillow. I brought my own pillow slip and a sleeping bag, and I was warm. They're cold. They do get cold at night. They only heat the dining area. They do get cold at night, but we were never cold. I'm not exaggerating. I was never cold in my sleeping bag, and
Make
I
sure you
was
bring a
comfortable.
sleeping bag that is rated zero Celsius, and you'll
Yeah.
be very toasty.
Yeah, because the room does heat up a little bit with your own body heat as well. So
We had the luxury to have hot water bottles. The 4 or 5 days leading to Everest base camp, our Gopal had that. That's part of the package. So the other trekkers didn't have that, and said, "Well, we have the hot water bottles. You don't."
we're really trying to help Gopal and his company Himalayan Nepal Treks, because it really is a superior service that he provides with all the little extras, and I absolutely have no complaint whatsoever. He added all those little bonuses like hot water bottle in your sleeping
Well, that's part of
bag.
the Nepalese hospitality. They're really, really
Yeah.
warm and welcoming. Yeah.
And this is a sample of another tea house. Some of them are wooden, some are really structures made out of stone. And there's an example of another dining hall. This is Gopal again. So you can see, this is probably, gosh, that was probably about 12,000 feet up. So it's incredible, like way up there, the quality of the buildings that they can build at such a high altitude. And we actually stayed in the highest inn in the world. It's at Gorakchep. You can go to the next one, Todd. This is the final ascent. It's 300, we went, that hill there behind this inn where we stayed is 300 meters above Everest Base Camp. And that's the best way to get the view of Everest.
Yeah, if you go to base camp, you will not have a view of the Everest. Because of the configuration of the mountain, you will have an obstructed view of Everest. But if you go to Kalapatar, like 300 meters higher, then you have, it's like, wow.
Yeah, you'll see, I'm gonna show you in a second here. The food, these are all our own shots. I didn't download any of these from the internet. These are actual meals we ate, and it was very good. People told us to bring some spices and herbs, and the food is bland, and I brought hot sauce and all kinds of stuff. I didn't have to use any of it. It was very good. And the scenery is, of course, incredible. You can just pause every 3 seconds or so and just scroll through these. You can get an idea.
A lot of variety in landscape. Like when you started in the countryside, in the subtropical climate, and then slowly ascend to more rugged terrain, and it was the last 3 days. It was as if I was on Mars or Venus. It was above the tree line. It's a totally different landscape. So every week was a different scenery.
There are rivers everywhere, and the water's turquoise. It's just beautiful.
That's it.
This is actually a glacier that's the size of this building. And we looked down and saw for kilometers and kilometers
That's it.
glaciers that just went on and on.
That's what the view you have from the Kalapatar.
That's Claude.
Yes.
Yeah, and we went at sunset. We climbed up, took a couple of hours up this hill where you get such a great view of Everest. People time it to see the sunrise or sunset on Everest. And because the air is thinner, there's hardly any interference in the sun's rays. So Everest actually looks like it's on fire. It's just so amazing.
And then
so
the sky,
incredible.
the stars, when we were there, the stars is just amazing.
Yeah. That's the last slide, yeah. We played a 3-minute video of our trek off the top. I don't know if you all saw it. Do you mind playing it again? Great. So if you have questions, we'll be around. We're just going to play this 3-minute video. And we do highly recommend this company, Himalayan Nepal Treks. If anybody wants to take 1 or 2 or 5 cards, hand them out, please do so. We're trying to help Nepal get back in business. Thanks so much.
And please go to Nepal.
Excuse me? This presentation will be on YouTube. This presentation of yours will be on YouTube.
Oh, this presentation will be on YouTube, I was told. Okay, good. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Panorama.